Hello and welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our brand new stamp set, Highland Cows, its coordinating dies and coordinating coloring stencils. We're also going to be introducing the Highland Cows Add-On with its coordinating dies and coloring stencils. And this little add-on turns this adorable cow set into a moving theme set, and I just love that little mailbox so much. We're also going to be taking a look at our brand new Grassy Pasture Backdrop in both the portrait style and the landscape style, and it has these cute little grass details and little cut lines where you can tuck your favorite critters in. So let's go ahead and check everything out. First up, we're going to stamp out the Highland Cows stamp set, which has the most adorable Highland cows in all these fun little different positions so that you can create cute scenes. You can use one cow on their own or mix and match them for such cute looks, and I love the ones that have the hair completely covering their eyes. It's just adorable. We also have some fun scene builders. So we have cute little flowers and grasses that you can stamp in your fields and pastures to help set the scene for these adorable little cows. We have all those cute flowers and then some little individual grasses. And then we have a flower crown for them, a standard crown for them, and also a birthday hat. And they look so cute with the little hats. We also have these cute little tiny phrases. We have, I miss you more, I miss Moo, happy birthday to Moo. Then we also have, let your hair down, which always makes me laugh. And then we have, hi there, but hi like Highland cows. And then we have these cute mix and match phrases. So we have, I heard and I heard, depending on if you want the pun or not. And then you can mix and match it with, it's your birthday. So I heard it's your birthday. We also have party to the cows come home, which is my favorite one, and cow grats too. And we also have long time no see, which is super cute for one of those I miss Moo cards. And of course, we have an exclamation point to add to the ends of your phrases and a cute little heart too. Next up, we're going to take a look at the Highland Cows Add-On. It has this super cute little mailbox, which I just love, an extra little grass, which is so cute, and then some fun moving theme sentiments. So we have, we've moved, I'm moving, you moved, and then we also have, we are moving, and also you moved. Cow grats. So this fun little mini phrases that you can add with those cute cows to create a moving theme card or birthday. You could also said, I heard you moved, which is really fun. So you can mix and match the phrases between both sets. Now we're going to add some color to these adorable cows, and I'm using some Copic markers here, but you could use Olo markers or your favorite alcohol markers, colored pencils, watercolors, or also coloring stencils, and I'll show you those in just a little bit. And these little cows are so sweet. And so what we've done is we've used the E30 markers there on the horns and the ears and the little snout, and then we're going to use these E18 markers here for the body. And you can see that I lay down the darkest color and then start blending it out medium to light, and I'm using some worn gray for their hooves. And I'm going to be coloring these all mostly in the same way. So once I had my gray markers out, I thought, you know what, I'm going to color all the hooves on all of the cows and then work my way down the hair. Now for the bangs, I guess the little hair on top of their head, I use the darker markers, so like E18, 17, and 15. And then for their face and body, I use 17, 15, and 13. So I make them just a little bit lighter. Of course, you could use any brown markers in your stash. Whatever you use is going to look absolutely amazing. When I'm trying to decide where to put the shadows for these, I kind of try to look at the curves of the stamp. So there you can see I did it on the outside curves and on the little curves of the bangs, and then I blend it out from there. I'm going to go around his face, and by putting the darker part around his face and lighter towards the center, it's going to make it look round, which is really cute. And there I'm just going to kind of going around the edge of the body and on the little curves of the hair, and then again blending it out medium and then to light. And then I'm going to repeat the same thing here. So again, we've got dark marker, and then I blend out the medium, and I kind of go over the dark a little bit with the medium and then go out into the white area and then fill that out with the lightest there into the lightest area. That way I'm going to make sure I get a really nice little kind of blend with that fun little shadow on them. And they are just so much fun. They're just so cute. I mean, look at these guys. These cards are adorable. You can put all the cows together. You could, of course, combine them with other farm critters as well. We're going to be making a platform pop-up with a cute barn with them. We have the new Grassy Pasture Backdrops, which is a fun place to put them. I just think these guys are so cute and so adorable. And like, how could they not make someone smile? I also love that you can do all sorts of different cards, from birthday to congratulations to moving to I miss you, all sorts of different cards with these sets. Now here I am using my E50 markers on the antlers, the ears, and the snout. And then I decided to do something a little bit different for the last two cows. So I'm going to use the E50s on the antlers still, but then I'm going to do the ears and the snout just a little bit different, a little bit darker. And so I'm bringing in the E30 markers here because I just wanted a little bit of a different look. And so it just kind of depends on the look you're going for, if you want the snout to blend in more or to be a little bit brighter like we did on the first ones. Now I'm going to take out some bright greens to add them to the grass. There's something about really bright greens with the kind of reddish brown of these Highland cows that I think looks so adorable. And I'm taking these colors and I'm adding them into the different elements. So I'm adding them into different flowers, but also into the birthday hat too. That way everything's going to coordinate really nicely on my cards. I'm going to use all my yellows and I'm going to bring in pinks and I'm just kind of working my way down. Then for that crown, I always like these Y26 markers here because they just kind of look golden. I think they're so pretty. Look at these guys. They're just so cute. And so now we're going to add some color to that adorable little mailbox here. I'm using some neutral grays, but I think cool grays would look really nice with this too. And I'm making sure to put a little shadow towards the inside of the mailbox. For the envelope, I'm just doing a little bit of a line of light blue just to help make it pop. And then the classic red flag there, and then a wooden post and some bright green grass there. And then here you can see these two sets together and how cute they look together. I just love the little mailbox with them with the fun moving theme. Next up, we have the coordinating dies for the Highland Cows set. They already come separated, so all you need to do is line them up with your stamped images, hold it in place with some low-tack tape, run it through the die cut machine, and you'll have perfectly cut out images every time. Here you can see all of the cute cows and accessories in this set, and when you put the little hats on them, I feel like it just makes it. Like, look at him with that little birthday hat with the flower crown. It's just too much. And then you could take these cute little flowers and layer them in front of the cows or behind the cows to help set the scene, which I think looks absolutely adorable. You could have just one cow on your card, or you can have them interact. So here you can have these two, which I think is really cute, especially if you put little speech bubbles with those cute little phrases on them. I like that you can add the birthday hats or the flower crowns or the crowns and mix and match them together in the cutest little scenes. Now next up we have the coordinating dies for the Highland Cows Add-On, which already come separated. You're just going to line them up with your stamped image, hold it in place with some low-tack tape, and then we're going to run it through the die cut machine and we'll have a perfectly cut out image every time. And here you can see how you can mix and match those together. And so I think it's really fun with the moving theme with the mailbox, but you could also do like a sending you love or I handmade this card for you type card with the mailbox, which I think would be really, really fun. Next up, we have the coloring stencils for this set, and it is a set of 3, and you can see there's etched guidelines onto these stencils that make it really easy to line up. So I looked through the stencils and I found the cow that I wanted to stencil, and I'm going to start on the stencil with my ink and move on to the paper to help add some beautiful color onto this Highland cow. Then we're just going to shift our stencil down and continue to fill in different parts of the cow. Here you can see I'm just doing it just a little bit lighter for the face than I did on the body, and I'm going to shift down again. And there's something about shifting down the stencil that I think is just so much fun. Here I'm going to take out some pizza crust ink, which is a little bit of a lighter brown, and I'm going to use that for the snout there. And I'm also going to be using it for the antlers as well, which I think is going to look so super cute. I'll shift down the stencil one more time and I'm going to add some gray on to the hooves. So there you can see that, which looks amazing. Now here is the stencil. It's a set of 1 for the Highland Cows Add-On, and we size all of our coloring stencils to be the same size as the stamp set so that they're really easy to store together. So this is a nice little mini one. And again, we're just going to shift down the stencil, coloring in the different parts of this mailbox. And so here you can see I'm adding a little bit more color to one side and letting it just kind of run off of my brush to the other to give that really pretty shaded look. And I just love using coloring stencils. I think they're so pretty. They just have this beautiful soft color when you use them, and they're really easy and quick to use too. And there's something about moving down the stencil and filling in all the parts that just makes me smile. And look how cute they look. They are just adorable. Now here is that grassy pasture backdrop. This is the landscape style. And then we also have it in the portrait style, and it has this beautiful stitch detail and then all the little grassy details that you can tuck your critters into. And I love it that we have it both in the landscape and the portrait depending on what style of card you're going to be working on. And here's what it looks like when you tuck the little characters into the grass or into those like little grassy mounds. Isn't that so cute? Of course, this is perfect for our Highland cows, but it's perfect for so many different critters in your stash. Whoever's going to be hanging out in the grass would be adorable here. The little moles could be popping out. You could take different farm animals and put them on these. I just love these grasses so much. It's also really fun to ink up this backdrop, which is what we're going to be doing next for our first card. So we're going to die cut the portrait backdrop of the Grassy Pasture Backdrop out of some white cardstock, and we're going to do some inking with some Distress Oxide. And we are starting with some Twisted Citron, which is a really nice bright ink. And so we're going to start off of our paper and then move on to it, building up all of this color all around this backdrop, kind of keeping it lighter towards the center a little bit. Then we're going to bring in some Mowed Lawn ink, which is a little bit of a darker green, to add some of the details and kind of bring out some of the colors. And I love as you ink over those little cut details, it really helps them pop on the card. And then as you add the darker color, isn't that so pretty? Oh, I just love it. It really feels like a real grassy pasture. To give it even more texture, we're going to be using our Mowed Lawn Distress ink here. We're going to smear that onto our surface, spray it with some water. We're going to pick up some of that water and then tap the paintbrush to create splatters all over the card. And here you'll see it's going to add even more texture to this gorgeous backdrop. Then we're going to take a spray bottle with just clean water in it, and we're going to spray it on this backdrop, and then take a paper towel to pick up the water, and that water is going to react with the ink and just create some lighter sections, which is going to look really pretty with those darker splatters that we did. Now here is the Giddy for Gingham paper. This is our new paper. It's so cute and perfect for these cows. And so we're going to take this pink paper here and we're going to die cut that with a stitched rectangle frame. This is actually the largest frame because it's 5.5 by 4.25, just like the backdrop. And so we're going to be adding this frame on with some foam strips to give it a nice pop and kind of like a shadow box feel. And I love these foam strips because they're the exact perfect size to layer behind these frames and backdrops. Then we're going to take out the Highland Cows stamp set and the add-on too, and we went ahead and stamped and colored and die cut a bunch of these images, and we're going to be creating a moving themed card here, but you can take this same idea and turn it into a different type of card, and I'll show you that at the end. So there you can see we all have all the cute cows and these cute little flowers, and we're going to go ahead and start tucking them into those little cutouts. So you can kind of just press up from the back and the little cutouts will kind of pop up, and then you can layer your cute little critters into them. Isn't that just adorable? There's something about them covered up by the grass that I think is just so sweet. You can layer some behind the grasses and the mounds and some in front, add some with some foam squares like we're doing here, and that's going to give you a ton of dimension on your card. Then we're going to take some of those flowers and grasses and layer them in front of the cows, behind the cows, tucked into those little cuts. It looks so cute. And then we're going to add that fun little mailbox there, which I think looks so adorable. Again, we're going to do a moving theme, but this could be like a sending love theme with the mailbox. Wouldn't that be so cute? And so we're going to be using some phrases from both of the sets. You can mix and match the sentiments. So we're using the I heard from the Highland Cows set and then the you moved from the add-on. So I love that you can mix and match them in such a cute way. And so we're stamping that in some black licorice ink onto some white cardstock, and then we're just going to use our paper trimmer to trim around them to create little rectangles around the words. Then we can add some foam tape behind these to give them a nice pop, and then we're going to layer them up into the top of the card. And I love the look of this kind of word fetty type sentiments on cards. Once we've layered both phrases, then we can take this whole thing and add it to a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25. And then this card is all done. It is so cute. I love them in the pasture so much. Here you can see our moving theme, but I wanted to show you a card created by Tammy, which inspired this card today, where instead of having the mailbox in the corner, she had another cow, and it was a birthday theme. So isn't that really cute? Same style of card, same layout, but a birthday theme instead. So I love that you can mix and match these ideas in such fun ways. And now we are going to create an interactive card with these cute cows. And we are going to be making a platform pop-up. And if you have never made a platform pop-up before, make sure to check out the intro video. We will link it in the description below. So we're die cutting the platform pop-up base, the T inserts, and the little grass out of white cardstock. So we have 2 of the bases, 3 of the T's, and 3 of the grasses. And we're going to be doing some inking on these with the same green colors that we used for the other background because they're so pretty with the cows. So just like we did before, we're going to start with our Twisted Citron, and then we're going to be adding that Mowed Lawn ink for the darker ink to give it a nice shading. And here, so we're just going to be inking through. You don't really have to ink the bottom because that won't be seen when the card is created, but of course you could if you wanted. And so here you can see we're adding the darker green just along to the outside edges, and then we're going to repeat the same thing on the other piece because these 2 pieces are going to be attached together to create our cool interactive card. And then so that everything coordinates, we're going to take these little grass pieces that we're going to be adding into our platform pop-up, and we're going to ink them up in the same way with our lighter green and our darker green. And then just like we did before, we're going to take the darker green, we're going to smear that onto our mat, spray some water, create a paint there, and we're going to pick it up with a paintbrush and tap it all over to create fun texture. Then the platform pop-up die creates all these fold lines for you. And so we went ahead and folded along all of those lines on both of these base pieces. And then here we have our Giddy for Gingham paper, and we're going to be using some of that pink again. So we're inspired by the first card to kind of create this one, but a three-dimensional version of it. And so we went ahead and trimmed down some pieces that were about a half an inch or so, a little bit smaller, maybe 3/8 of an inch wide. And so we're going to take those, add some adhesive to the back, and then we're going to layer that on to be like this fun little detail onto the front of the platform pop-up. And so we're going to layer one of them on first, and then what we can do is line it up with the other piece and then layer on the other one so that they perfectly line up. When we make the platform pop-up, it'll go all of the way around. Then we can just trim off any of the excess on the edge of these pieces, just like that. Next, we're going to start to add some 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and we're going to add it to those outer tabs on both of the pieces and also to the tab at the bottom. And again, if you've never made a platform pop-up, make sure to check out the intro video. Then we're going to take our 3 T-shaped pieces, and there's a little score line at the bottom, and we're going to fold along that score line on 2 of them. And then on one of them, we're actually going to trim off that bottom piece at the score line. So we're just going to fold it and then take our scissors and trim that off. So we have 2 with the folded tab at the bottom and 1 where we've removed that tab. And with the 2 that still have the tab on there, we're going to add a piece of that 1/4 inch double-sided tape to the bottoms of each of those tabs right underneath that score line. Then we're going to attach the T-shaped pieces into the platform pop-up. So we're going to take one of these base pieces and we're going to flip it over. Then we're going to take our T-shaped piece and it's going to fit right through that slot, just like that. Then we can go ahead and peel up the liner paper on that adhesive that we added onto that tab. And then we're going to fold along that first big score line there. We're going to pull the tab flat and press down to secure it in place, just like that. Then we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So we're going to flip over this piece. We're going to put our T-shaped piece into the slot. We're going to peel up the liner paper on the T-shaped piece, and then we are going to fold on that first big score line there, and we're going to make sure we pull that tab so that it's all the way down, and then we can press down and secure that into place. So now we have 2 pieces that look exactly the same. So we're going to remove the liner paper on the tab right there. So we're going to expose that adhesive there, and we're going to fold up along that next big score line and then press down to secure it. And we'll repeat the same thing on the other side. So we'll peel up the liner paper on the adhesive, then we'll fold up on that next score line and then press down to secure it to that top kind of scallop part of this piece. Here you can see that we have these cool 2 3-dimensional pieces that look the same. Now next we're going to work with the T-shaped piece where we had trimmed off the bottom part, and we're going to add 2 pieces of that 1/4 inch tape just along that bottom part of the T. So not along the horizontal part, but just onto the vertical part. Then we can go ahead and peel up the liner paper on both of those pieces, and we're going to be attaching this onto one of these platform pieces. This is the one that's going to be in the middle of the platform pop-up. So we're just going to line it up with the other one, line it up with the bottom edge of the platform pop-up, and then press down to secure it. Then we can start adding some more of that nice strong tape to this inside piece here. So we're going to layer it over top of the base of this T piece. Then we're going to peel up the liner paper on all of that adhesive there, and also on these little side tabs where we had added some of that double-sided tape earlier. Then we can go ahead and butt these up against each other to make one long piece, and then we can press down to secure that in place. Then we can go ahead and start to fold this in half and layer these 2 pieces. So you'll see you'll fold it in half, they're both going to line up, and then we're going to secure that with the adhesive there in the center. And then we can peel up the liner paper on that last tab there, and then we can tuck that inside to help form the whole shape of the platform pop-up mechanism. Then you can push up from the bottom and you'll see this amazing 3-dimensional card start to form. It folds flat for mailing and then creates this fun 3-dimensional display item that is just so cute. Now you'll see that we have the tops of those T-shaped pieces peeking out. That's where we're going to be putting our little grass pieces. So we're going to use some 1/8 inch double-sided tape, and we're just going to add one little strip along the bottom of the grass because that's what's going to line up perfectly with those T-shaped pieces. And then we can peel up the liner paper on those pieces and attach them onto each one of those little T-shaped pieces so that we have 3 layers of grass. Now, the next thing that these cows need is a super cute barn. And so we have this fun build a barn die, and we're going to be using that to create the perfect little barn for these cows. So we went ahead and die cut the barn and then all those fun decorative pieces, and we're going to start layering them all together. So there's a barn door and then these little rectangles that can layer behind to add color into the barn door, which is so cute. Isn't that adorable? And then we also have these cute tiny little windows and a little rectangle that layers behind them to help fill in the windows. And then we have this fun little roof for the barn. So we're going to layer that on, and then we can layer our barn doors on, and then of course those cute little windows too. And then that little star looks adorable on this barn. Now this barn is a little bit tall for a platform pop-up, so we're actually just going to trim off the top part so it's just like a little one-story barn, which is going to be really, really cute, and it's not going to look too tall in the platform pop-up. We're going to add some adhesive to the front of it because we're going to layer it onto the back of that back grass. Look how cute that is. Isn't it perfect with the top cut off? I think it looks so cute on the platform pop-up. Then here we have our Highland Cows stamp set, which we've gone ahead and stamped and colored and die cut the cows and also some of the cute grasses and flowers. And we're going to start adding those onto this scene. And so first, of course, we need to add a little flower crown onto our cow. Then we can add some adhesive to the bottom of the cow and layer her on the front of the grass. Then we can go ahead and start doing that with all the other little pieces. So I love the look of the little flowers layered in. We've got a cow on each one of those grasses, which gives some fun dimension. And then we can layer some of these little flowers and grass pieces and then tuck them into the scene. And oh my goodness, this is looking so cute already. Now we wanted to make this into a birthday themed card. So we're going to die cut this wavy banner and we're going to be stamping the party till the cows come home sentiment, which we've curved to match that wavy banner. We're just going to ink that up with some black licorice ink and then stamp that onto the banner. And isn't that so cute? I think it's so perfect for a birthday card. And so we're going to take this whole banner piece and we're going to be layering that into the card. We also needed to add a little birthday hat, right? To kind of help bring the birthday party theme into the card. So then we're going to add some adhesive to the back of the banner and then layer that onto the front of the platform pop-up. I think that looks so cute. And then when you open it up and the cows pop out, I mean, come on, it's just adorable. Now, for one last little finishing touch, the little phrases in this set are so cute, and we wanted to add them into the card. So we're going to stamp out a speech bubble from all the speech bubbles, which have been sized to work with these little mini phrases that we put into our stamp sets. And so we're going to be stamping out the happy birthday to Moo into that little speech bubble, and then we can use the coordinating die to go ahead and cut that out. And then to make it look like it's floating, we have a little strip of acetate here. So it's like a 1/4 inch strip. We're going to add some adhesive to one side, and then we can attach our little speech bubble onto that, and then we can add some adhesive to the bottom part of this piece, and then we can layer that behind the cow, and it's going to make it look like the speech bubble is floating. So there you can see we've layered it behind the cow, and now you have this really cute speech bubble. Isn't that adorable? And it gives it so much dimension. It's so cute. And now this card is all done. It folds flat for mailing, standard postage. You push up from the bottom and you get this incredible 3-dimensional card with the cute little cows and the barn. It's just adorable. I love the party till the cows come home sentiment and the magic that there is when you push it from the bottom and you get this fun 3-dimensional card. It's just so much joy and so much fun. And then next up, Shari is going to show you 2 adorable ideas. So take it away, Shari.
So for this card today, I'm using the Highland Cows stamp set along with the All the Speech Bubbles stamp set to create a I miss you card or long time no see. That's the sentiment I'm using today. So I stamped out the speech bubbles with some River Rock ink so they're gray, and I'm adding the sentiments that say I miss Moo and I miss you more and a little heart. That's going to go with the guy in the center that has his hair covering his eyes. And I'm just going to color that heart in so it is red. For the background on this card, I'm using a piece of 12 by 12 Giddy for Gingham paper in that rainbow plaid. I've also used a lacy rectangle with kraft cardstock, and I've used the coordinating small stitch rectangle to cut out some spiffy speckles in blue and green. Then I'm adding my sentiment to the bottom of the green piece. Long time, no see. And then I can see where I need to trim this off to create some grass for my cute little cows to sit on. And I'm going to start to assemble my card by adding that gingham paper to my card base. This is going to give me that fun rainbow gingham all the way around my cute little lacy rectangle panel. Then I also need to add my spiffy speckles panels to my rectangle panel to create a frame. So first I'm adding that green piece along the bottom, and then I will add this whole piece to my lacy rectangle, and now we have that kraft frame. I'm using some purple twine on this card. I thought it would bring out the purple in the gingham really well. I'm wrapping that around 3 times. Then I'll tie a bow over on the left. I always like to add some texture like this, especially when I'm making a card that has a smaller panel on it like I'm doing today. I just think it adds a little bit of extra fun. So I'll tie this in a bow over to the left, making sure it's far enough over here that it's going to peek out beside my rectangle panel. Once I have that bow tied nice and tight, I'll just adjust it a little bit, and then I will trim off those long tails. And I'm just adjusting that to make sure it's nice and taut. Then I'm going to pop up this panel, and this is a little trick I like to do, especially when I'm running my tape in the same direction as my twine. I like to flip it over and make a little channel between my foam tape for the twine to go. So you can see there's kind of a void there where that twine's going to be. That way I don't get any extra bulk through the center there. Now I've laid out my cows where I want them to be. I'm going to pop up the center one and start with that one using some foam squares. For the ones on the left and the right, I'm actually going to use some thin foam squares so it's not quite as thick, and that will allow me to kind of tuck these behind the one in the center. And I'm really filling this rectangle frame. Now for the sentiments, I'm just using the regular foam squares again to pop those up. I like how they kind of go off the edge of my little scene here. And then I have some flowers to complete everything. I will add a little foam square between these two cows so I can add this little group of flowers and grass. Then some of these I will just layer on top, like this one here. I'm just going to layer that right on top of that cow. This one I'm going to tuck behind this one's tail over here. And then I have some cute little grasses that I can just add and tuck in to help fill in the scene. This is also why I just cut the green pattern paper straight, because I knew I would be covering up any border die if I used a border die. And finally, I will just add a touch of glitter to the heart and to the flowers and grass on this card. And then here is my finished I Miss Moo card. I just think it's so cute, and I love that rainbow gingham in the background so much. So I am using the new Grassy Pasture Landscape Backdrop. I've cut it from some green Spiffy Speckles paper, and I'm going to be using the Hey There stamp set and all the party hats to create a fun birthday card. So here are all my images with the party hats all cut out and ready to go. And for my pasture, I decided to ink up the edges a little bit and give it a little definition. This ink's going to catch on those stitching details. It's also going to catch on those little grass cutout details and really make them stand out a little bit more. I even kind of went over that line through the center so that those grass details stand out even more. Then I pulled out the Giddy for Gingham Petite paper pack, and I am going to pull out this pretty rainbow plaid in the diagonal stripes, and that's where I'm going to make a cute little happy birthday sentiment banner. So I'm using the Happy Birthday in the All the Party Hats stamp set. This might be my favorite Happy Birthday sentiment stamp, I think because it's nice and bold. And you could cut it to stack them, but I'm going to show you how you can selectively stamp it to create the sentiment with the happy above the birthday. So I've lined it up on my gingham paper. I'm going to take a Post-it note and mask off the word happy and just ink up the word birthday. Then I can pull off that Post-it. I know the word happy is nice and clean, and I'm stamping the word birthday right on there. Next, I want to make sure that I clean this off really well, make sure it's nice and dry. That's why I always kind of touch it with my hand. Then we're going to realign it to where the word happy is above birthday. Pick that up with the Door the Misty and repeat the same process. So I'm using that Post-it note to mask off the word birthday. I'll ink up the word happy, remove the Post-it note, and now we have a perfectly stamped stacked sentiment. And I'm making a banner that is very wide. So I want to trim this down to the width that I want it to be. Then I'm going to cut a fishtail at the bottom. So what I did is I used my centering ruler to just mark the center with a little dot of my pencil. I'll cut a straight line through the center, and then I'll connect the corner to the top of that line that I cut to create a wide fishtail banner at the bottom for my sentiment. I just think this is a fun, different look, and it's going to hang at the top of my pasture. Now I am cutting the sentiment in half that says from the whole herd because we have all the animals. And I kind of wish I had placed my animals on here first. I would have shifted this slightly to the right, but I didn't think about it. But you're going to see why once I put my animals on there. I did have to adjust them slightly so that they didn't cover up my sentiment. So I will just stamp this directly onto my backdrop and go ahead and add that backdrop to my card base. Now I am not tucking anything into those little grassy hills on this particular card, but you could, and I think that would be really fun to do. But I am going to make little groupings of animals, and they were just a little too big to tuck in the grass. So I'm adding my happy birthday sentiment at the top. Then I can trim off the excess, and of course I'll keep that piece for another project because it's nice and big. And then I can start to add my little scenes. So I have my little fences that will get trimmed off. And I started with them just glued directly to the background. I am going to change one of them to be popped up with foam squares. But before I add my animals to my card, I need to add all their little hats. So I'm just using liquid glue to add all their little party hats. I really love the tiny hat on the little baby chicken. Now I've put foam squares on the back of my animals so they're popped up off of this background and we have some nice dimension. And I'm going to add my cow up here, and I'm adding my little chicken with a foam square. He's going to sit on the fence, and that is where I decided I also wanted to pop this fence up. So luckily I only put this down with some tape runner so it's not stuck down completely, and I can add some foam squares and pop that right under there so my chicken is sitting on it. Now for my other animals, I originally started with the fence and worked to the right, and I felt like I crowded my sentiment too much. So I popped them off, and I'm starting with the chicken so it is spaced properly from my sentiment, and I'm working over to the outside edge. And I had put foam squares on this fence, but decided I wanted that to be flat and tucked behind the pig. It already has adhesive on it, and I can just trim it off. And you can see I've already trimmed off the one up at the top as well. Then I'm pulling out the iridescent sequin mix. This has different sizes of sequins in there, and I've just kind of placed them around where I want to add a little bit of sparkle to this card. This is just going to catch the light and look really nice. So I've laid them out, and I'll just pick them up with my tweezers and add them back with a little dot of glue. The pickup pokey tool is great for this as well. And then I did end up adding one more little small sequin right above the sentiment right here to kind of fill in. And then as far as glitter goes, I only added it to the tops of the party hats. And here is my finished birthday card from the whole herd, which I just think is so cute. And I love it on that new Grassy Pasture backdrop.
Oh my goodness, Shari, this card is so cute, and I love that this pasture backdrop is great for so many of my favorite critters. And then this card with the long time no see and all the speech bubbles, it's so sweet and just makes me smile, and I love it with that rainbow gingham in the background. And then here, this card by Grace, oh my goodness, it's a shaker card using some of our new clay shaker bits going behind the word hooray and then all the little cows around it. I think it is just so much fun. Next up, we're going to see even more cards from the design team. And this one here by Audrey is just adorable. I love that rainbow frame and how she added in the balloons and the mailbox. It's just so sweet. I love how Mindy used the cute little oval frame and she die cut the oval from the Grassy Pasture Backdrop, which is such a cool way to use it. This card here by Yanea is so much fun, and she used our new outline for Scripty Smile to have the rainbow paper behind it, which I am just in love with. Next up, we have another platform pop-up by Rebecca, but this time it had the Cow Grats theme. So I love you can take the same design and change up the sentiments. This card by Megan is so cute. I love how she used the 4-square backdrop to create these adorable little scenes. And then here, Elise has a super cute fun pun, and she shows how great it is to add so many different types of critters to the new Grassy Pasture backdrops. This is the card by Tammy that inspired us to make our moving card, and I think it's just so cute with that gingham frame. And then this card by Letitia is just adorable, and I love all of the flowers she added and all of the cute flower crowns. Here is another cute card that says, I heard you moved, which is so fun with the little speech bubbles. And then here is another fun Grassy Pasture backdrop die cut out of beautiful algae cardstock, and it looks so perfect with the cows. So we cannot wait to see all of your Highland Cows cards, so make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!